Okay, guys, so if you're here in tutorials today and for tomorrow, we're going to discuss the 2D tests that you guys took that you may have not done so well. So it says, number 1, the diagram represents a ramp. So your ramp would represent C, your hypotenuse. That means that we are going to add. And that's a right triangle. Remember, your longest side is always right across from your right triangle. So then either one of these can be A or B. Remember, they're always interchangeable. So then we're going to set this formula up. A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. So then we are going to plug in 11 squared plus 60 squared equals C squared. 11 times 11 is 121, and 60 times 60 is 3,600. So now we're going to add, and then we're going to square root it. That should be 3721 on my calculator. When I put this in the calculator, I come out with 61 feet for my hypotenuse. So in your for your test, your recording should have been x is equal to 61. So number 2, it talks about a window. I already created it. Has a perimeter, that means it's all the way around, of 188 inches. And then it says determine the length of the window X. So it has the perimeter is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times W. So we know the width of it is 2 times 34. And we know that the perimeter is 188. So we got to work backwards. So then this is 68. We don't know this. So we're going to take the 68 and subtract it from this side because we still need the length of it. So then when we subtract that, we're going to get 120. We're still not done because we have to take the 120 and we're going to divide it by 2 because we still have 2 sides. We got the width of it, which is 34 for both of these sides. This is the distance all the way around, but now we need the height, the length of it. So then when we divide this, we get 60. So the length is 60 inches. So now we just found the length. So X is equal to 60. So let's look at number 3. It says when 3 squares are joined at their vertices to form a right triangle. This is trying to prove the converse. So we're looking at set A. Here's set A and set B. So this part goes with set A and this goes with set B. So let's work set A first. So for set A, we have A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And so I'm going to plug in the 2 smaller ones. Remember, legs are interchangeable, and this is our C. Anytime you see whatever the measurement is and square, it's already done for you. This has not been done. So then I'm going to plug in 9 squared. B has already been set up at 144. and c squared would be 21 squared. So now we're going to go ahead and take 9 times 9 is 81. And then this is your 144. And 21 times 21 is going to give you 441. So when I square this, okay, so then when I add up the 81 plus the 144, I get the square root of 225, and then I can just square root the 441. And when I do that and I put it in the calculator, the square root of 225 is 15. And the square root of 441 is 21. So obviously you see this is not a right triangle. So that means when I look at set A, does it form a right triangle or does it not form a right triangle? So it does not form a right triangle. Now I'm going to look at set B. I'm going to do the same thing. A squared plus B squared equals to C squared. And I'm just going to label the two smaller ones, A and B, which are my legs. And the biggest one is my C. And if you notice, anytime it has that square, it has already been completed. So then I'm just going to plug in 3 squared. B is 4 squared. And this has already been completed. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 4 is 16. So now I'm going to add them up. I'm going to square it. 16 plus 9 is square root 25, and I'm going to square root and just bring this 25 down. Clearly you see that the square root of 25 is 5 for both sides. So that tells me that the two smaller square triangles are, for Pythagorean theorem, equal to the biggest box that you see. So then my answer, it forms a right triangle for set B. So that would be this answer here. Okay, let's go ahead and look at number 4. It says the width of a rectangle is 4 feet and the diagonal length of the rectangle is 13 feet. So I'm going to just create a rectangle. Diagonal means that it's going to go in a ramp, a slant. So that's 13 feet. And it says which measurement is closest to the length of this rectangle in feet. So the width is going to be 4 feet. So that means that we have the hypotenuse, but we are missing one of the legs. So I'm going to make this one A. It's missing. And I'm going to make this one B. So I'm going to set it up. A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Since I don't know A squared, but I do know B, that's 4 squared and 13 squared. So A squared, 4 times 4 is 16. And 13 times 13 is that 164. I'm going to check my little handy dandy calculator. 13, 169. So now we're not done because we have to move everything. We want to move this constant to this side. So we're going to do the opposite with subtracting. You remember this from your equations. So that means this is 0 pairs. So I'm left with A squared and 169. Let's see, 169. Subtract 16. And that gives us 153. I'm going to square root 153. So I'm going to push the 153 and the square root it. And that gave me, and it says closest to the length of the rectangle in feet. And my calculator says 12.5 36. So if I round this to the nearest tenths, that means that it will round to 12 point, because it's going to move up, 12.4. So then this would be about 12.4 feet for the other leg. Wow. So my best answer was C. Okay, so number 5, it says a student solved the equation x2 is equal to 132 to find the length of the diagonal of a square in centimeters. Which measurement is closest to x, replacing this, the length of the diagonal of the square? So it wasn't a whole lot you needed to do with this one. And so what I tell students to do is, if you square root, I'm going to put it in my calculator and do 132. So when I square rooted this and put it in the calculator as 132, it gave me 11.48. So then, regardless of how this works, my answer was D. So it said measurement that's closest to it. All right, so let's look at number 6.